Daily habits are the foundation for achieving anything in life, and that's definitely the case when it comes to emotional eating. In this video, I'm going to share 5 really simple daily habits that were absolutely essential for me to stop emotional eating and develop a healthy relationship with food. After this video, you can start implementing these and notice a change right away. I'm Lori Montry, a trauma-informed eating psychology coach. I help you understand why you have unwanted patterns with food and provide you with the tools and resources to break free. Now, those of you watching this video no doubt want to stop emotional eating and feel more in control of your food choices. And I know how you feel. I was in that exact place for decades. I tried everything, and I mean everything, to break the habit of emotional eating. But the harder I tried to stop, the worse things would get. It turns out I was focused on the wrong habits. Instead of trying to break my emotional eating habit, which was serving me in some really important ways, I needed to build habits that would meet my needs better. By doing so, I removed my need for emotional eating. And rather than battling with myself or white-knuckling through urges, the answer was to discover my true needs and meet them. Once I did that, I didn't think about food again, unless I was truly hungry. I always tell the people that I work with that food right now for you, it's like your life preserver. It's keeping you afloat in the world. And it's not going to be an effective solution to simply rip that away from you. Instead, let's learn how to swim, and then you won't need or want that life preserver anymore. And this is how real success happens. Now, in the big picture, ending emotional eating requires that we work with the 3 keys that I teach in my Freedom from Emotional Eating program. Now, I explore each of the keys in my free resources that you can download below. In this video, as I said, I'm going to share with you the 5 fundamental habits that will absolutely begin to change your relationship with food and with yourself. So let's dive in. Habit number 1 is to start your day with a morning practice. Now, a morning practice is anything you want it to be. It can be things like meditation, journaling, mantra, movement, getting a few minutes of natural sunlight, prayer, yoga, gratitude, or somatic experiencing, which is a modality I teach all of my clients for working powerfully with the nervous system. Now, these practices, even if you only spend a few minutes with them, they can have a profound impact on the whole rest of your day. More often than not, many of us are used to opening our eyes and then reaching for our phones, where we might see our emails, the people who need things from us, our obligations, the latest bad news, or just that constant stimulation that disconnects us from our internal power source. It is so much more beneficial to replace this habit with one or more of the activities that I mentioned above. This habit of setting aside a few minutes first thing in the morning will have a profound impact on your stress levels, your outlook on life, your connectedness to the greatest version of yourself. And this means that you will simply be less likely to feel triggered and then go looking to food to help you numb, cope, distract, or avoid. Habit number 2 is sleep. Sleep is vital to feeling resourced. And if you aren't feeling resourced, everything feels harder. When things feel harder, you want extra food to help you deal with that. Furthermore, when we're sleep deprived, the hormones that regulate hunger, ghrelin and leptin, they go all wonky and create cravings that can be really difficult to contend with. You can also start to see here how each of the habits that I'm sharing with you relate to each other. Because if you're dead tired in the morning, you are not going to wake up and perform your morning practice. You're going to hit the snooze button and end up late for work. Now, a lot of people that I talk to today, they feel a strong pull towards scrolling right before bed. And once they start noticing what's happening, they realize, wow, scrolling is having a huge impact on my ability to get to bed and get to sleep. You know, the internet and social media were very much designed to stimulate you and captivate you. The creators of the different platforms, they hired neuroscientists to figure out how to make it hard for you to put your phone down. There are certainly other reasons why you might be having trouble getting to bed or getting to sleep, but many people who are struggling tell me that they need to put their phones down to be able to go to sleep. So if you're someone who struggles to get to bed on time in order to allow yourself 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And please note too that we need more sleep when we're experiencing stress. Take some time to reflect on the reasons why this is true and start working your way toward better and better sleep hygiene. If you do need to set some boundaries for yourself with your phone, start small and work your way into a new schedule. So for example, if you're currently staying up regularly until midnight, try parking your phone out of reach at 11:45 at the latest every night for a week, and then move that time to 11:30 until you reach your ideal bedtime. The important thing here is that you identify what your biggest challenges to sleep are and then start taking the steps to remedy them. Habit number 3 has to do with stress. Now, most likely, a good deal of your emotional eating happens because you feel stressed. It's not the only emotion that may send you to food, but it's absolutely on most people's short list, and this makes perfect sense. Let me explain why. When you're stressed, your brilliant brain switches into survival mode in order to protect you, to keep you alive. In survival mode, you preserve all of your energy to help deal with the real or perceived threat that's causing your stress. What this means is that your brilliant brain takes all of the energy that normally flows to your executive level brain functioning, things like problem solving, self-soothing, creative thinking, etc., and shunts all that energy toward the survival centers of the brain. And when you're operating from survival brain, your perception of the world, your perception of yourself greatly changes. You lose the ability to soothe yourself, to connect with others, and impulse control goes straight out the window. Only thing survival brain cares about is getting you out of this discomfort ASAP. Hello, cookies. This is one of the keys that I teach in my Freedom course, and I talk about it more in one of the resources that you can download below. It is just so important for you to understand that it isn't really you that emotionally eats, it's survival brain. There's so much to say on this topic and how to work with stress, but the first 2 habits, right? That morning practice and sleep will absolutely help with your daily levels of stress. And for a lot of people, without realizing it, past traumas and accumulated stressors from daily life could be a significant factor on the stress that you feel regularly. That's why I spend a lot of time explaining and exploring stress and trauma with all of my clients. Most of the time, there are underlying reasons for stress, even if you're convinced it's just the regular hustle and bustle of everyday life. So taking time to explore where your stress is coming from and what you can do to help yourself relieve it is crucial to your success in overcoming emotional eating. And the 4th and 5th habits actually have to do with eating, but surprisingly perhaps, they do not relate to restriction or trying to control yourself, because efforts to restrict and control usually have the exact opposite effect from what you want. So the first one, or habit number 4, is to prioritize protein. Now, I could go on for days about the importance of protein for your health, your well-being, your longevity, your muscle, but I'm going to limit our discussion to simply the reasons of how it can help with emotional eating. First of all, when we consume optimal protein, we have less cravings and we tend to eat less. We also have more energy, which in and of itself helps us feel less triggered and in need of our coping mechanisms. It also gives us that energy that we need so that we're not looking to food to help us with the energy deficiency. Protein also impacts the hunger hormones, the GLP-1 that are impacted by weight loss medications. Protein provides some of the same benefits as these drugs because protein produces a similar effect on satiety and also blood sugar stability. And making aligned choices is much easier when you're not feeling ravenous and your blood sugar is relatively stable. Protein also, by the way, has a high thermic effect. Now, the thermic effect of food is how much energy you spend digesting and absorbing the food that you eat. Carbohydrates and fats require only about 5 to 10% of the food that you eat to be digested, while protein requires 20 to 30%. So prioritizing protein, making sure that you're meeting your protein goals first, also means that you're likely to crowd out some of the other things on your plate. that are just simply not as helpful. Now, I did a whole video recently on protein, so if you're interested in learning more, you should definitely check that out. We can link that in the comments below. Now, the last habit, habit number 5, which will help you overcome emotional eating, is being mindful with your food for the sake of enjoying it and for the sake of being more present. Notice that I didn't say for the sake of eating less. That part isn't important right now, and it will come, because here's the reason why. If you're trying to be mindful in order to restrict, the effect of your mindfulness will actually be to set up an internal battle that will have you feeling anything but calm and in need of more food to help you feel better. Mindfulness allows you to be more engaged with your food, your body, and the act of nourishing it. One reason we overeat as people is simply because we get no real pleasure in eating. When we eat fast or under stress, and this stress could be related to fears or criticism about the food we're eating, our brains don't register the meal in the same way. So we end up eating a lot more to get to the level of satisfaction that tells our brains to stop. Not only do we eat more when we're eating mindlessly, but we're also impairing digestion, secreting hormones like insulin and cortisol, which can stimulate weight gain and deregulate appetite, as well as harming the function of healthy gut bacteria. We, as humans, we were really designed to optimally process our nutrition when we're in the parasympathetic, or aptly named rest and digest state of being. So the habit that you can start at your next meal is to slow down and participate in your eating experience. Stop multitasking while you eat and just tune into the experience that you're having. Maybe start with one meal a day and work from there. Some tips for bringing more mindfulness into mealtime is, number 1, make sure you're sitting while you eat. Number 2, take a few deep breaths and calm your mind before you begin eating. Number 3, you could allow your meal to be a little more relaxed, take a little bit longer. Number 4, you could bless your food and the people who grew it or prepared it. Imagine how many steps it took to get from where it began to your table. Number 5, just really notice your food. Even pretend to be a food critic and try to pick up on the flavors and the nuances. So what does the food feel like in your mouth? Number 6, you could try to put your fork down a few times within the meal. Not after every bite. It doesn't have to be exaggerated, but whenever that feels right and there's a natural pause. And really anything else that draws your attention to the fact that you're eating. Start small and build on this practice weekly such that more and more of your meals are taken in this relaxed way. Now, this is an especially helpful practice to try when you're emotionally eating. You don't have to beat yourself up, shame yourself, or hide from yourself during an emotionally charged eating experience. It's much more beneficial to show up fully for the experience and offer yourself kindness, compassion, and a more mindful experience. So there you have it, 5 habits to begin building today to help you change your relationship with food and overcome emotional eating. Rather than diving in and trying to build all of these habits overnight, try working with them one at a time until it starts to feel kind of like second nature, and then move on to the next. As I mentioned already, the comprehensive solution for emotional eating involves 3 keys: overcoming your habituated brain, learning to self-soothe so that food is no longer the only way that you have available to you, and 3, learning emotional resiliency so that you can sit with your emotions, even the hard ones, without needing to avoid, cope, or distract from them with food. You can learn more about these 3 keys by downloading the free resources below this video. So I look forward to hearing how these habits go for you. And if you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button so I can more easily get content in your hands and others like you. Thanks for spending time with me.